here's what gets me excited. Seeing you people here, all you people that want to talk about this dumb stuff that I know and relate it to your world somehow. And that's what keeps me going. The pre-workouts work too, Jay. But what keeps me going is that second part of what I said is how I relate this to your world. So we're having people trickle in right now. And I think, unfortunately, lately my emails have been going to spam for a lot of people. We had like another 30 people opt in for this call today. And I don't know if they're all going to show up. I think the email is going to the spam. So if you've had that issue with my email going to the spam, type in spam in the chat box. Yeah, Jay, send it to Eric. Because I think he should have gotten an invite for this already, but it might be going to a spam, which is something we got to figure out. But don't worry, I have the best in the business on my team. I know you guys would expect nothing less, but I have one of the best in the business on my team. Tyler on this call, man, I can't even see last names. Oh, I think it's Nashville. That's Nashville, Tyler. Okay. Good to have you here, brother. All right, everybody. I want to give you a quick update off of last week. Last week was probably one of the most chaotic, stressful weeks of my entire life. The book launched. Nash Tyler, what's up, Tyler? The book launched, which is amazing. It's on Amazon. You can pick up your copy. If you want a link, I'll put it in the chat. And the day after the call that we had on Wednesday, Thursday morning, we had to be at the hospital at 6 a.m. for Penelope's surgery. She had a heart catheter. She's 14 months old. She was born and she's had pulmonary hypertension since she was born, which means elevated pressures in your lungs and heart. And Jay will be able to pitch in here because he's got a medical background. And we were told that this was a lifelong thing for her, that she would always have pulmonary hypertension, which means that she's in an oxygen monitor every night. And if the connection goes off, it beeps. So long story short, every hour and a half, 2 hours, the monitor is going beep, 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 beep all night long. So mom and dad haven't been able to sleep at 15 months, 14 months. And we don't know what's going to happen with the daughter. And so they had surgery last week to measure the pressures. And then they ended up closing one of the valves in her heart. And the pulmonologist and the cardiologist said that that wasn't going to help the pulmonary hypertension. And so she had the surgery, and Steph and I are waiting in the hospital, and out come the physicians. And lo and behold, pulmonary hypertension free. The physician literally said, we can't even consider her a patient anymore for pulmonary hypertension because she has no elevated levels. I don't think 0.024, no part of my being expected that result. None of my being expected that result. And it was amazing. God is great. Thank you, Jay. Now, could she have issues later on, just like every kid? Of course she could. But, you know, what I've also realized, I was talking to a guy named Brian, who we went to college or high school with, Jay. And he went to the ER with his daughter. And he said, I think every parent needs to sit in the waiting room of a hospital with their kid at least once for an hour. Because the stress and the worry in everyone's face. Parents don't sign up for that. Kids don't sign up for that. It's completely out of our control. And I give a lot of credit to my wife, who did a lot of the natural type stuff with grounding mats and natural food, a lot of like let the body heal the body kind of stuff. So it was crazy. It was crazy, dude. The last week was crazy. So this week, and just so you guys know, the Wealth Wednesdays are all about how to do a few things: replace your bank, guaranteed growth, be in control of your money, have liquidity of your money, how to minimize your exposure to risk, how to not give your money unknowingly or unnecessarily to Uncle Sam. We all want to pay our fair share in taxes. We just don't want to pay more than our fair share. So it's a couple of themes that go on, but a lot of what we talk about is going to be reoccurring. And if I start to go into a topic that's reoccurring that you're familiar with, I will not get offended if you sign off. We only have a handful of people on today, which is kind of stinks because I think my emails are going to spam for the people that signed up. So if you guys want to sign off, I won't get offended. But if you do stick around, I love it. I am going to talk about similar topics that you've heard in the past. And so I want to take a poll here. Last week, we talked about exactly strategically, tactically, how to put policies in force that you can use over and over again while you're living. Showing real numbers on a policy, like putting money in, taking money out, what's the ramification? In the last week, I've been reminded with clients of, like, if I take a loan, when I take a loan, how does that work with loan rates and growth? And, it's a loan, there's interest due. It's not like a typical loan. So we've been going to the weeds on how loans work with life insurance. So tonight we got 40 more minutes. What do you want to talk about? Let's say there's 3 topics. Okay. The first one is replacing your bank, which I think most people on here know how to do that. Except John. I'm not familiar with your name. I'm sorry. We can talk about the retirement side and what I view as the most optimal strategy when it comes to retirement income. Or, which I'm not super prepared, but I probably could talk for a while on, is the minutia of loan rates and cash value life insurance. So 1, 2, or 3. Number 1, replacing your bank. Number 2, optimal retirement strategy. Or number 3, weedy life insurance details. So what do you guys want to talk about? 1, 2, or 3? Go ahead and put it in the chat box. 2 or 3. Fran, I knew you would say 3. John wants 3. John, have we talked in the past? I can't even see your email to Judge. All I see is John. Not yet. Okay. Weeds on life insurance. So you must know something about life insurance if you want to talk about the weeds on life insurance. So here's what I'm willing to do. Fran, I had a meeting today that I recorded because I knew some people would want to watch the meeting. And so I have no problem, Fran, sending you the recording because we'll put the disclaimers and things that are necessary in there. Yeah, I think you would enjoy it because I talk so much about how to use life insurance. At some point, the analytics do want to understand the loan versus PUA versus guaranteed versus loan rate versus net surrender cash value versus death benefit. All of those terms, the technicality like you're talking about, I think you'd dig it. You would totally dig it. I'll make sure you get a recording. I'm getting more 2s than 3s, but so John and Fran are the only ones that want the 3. John, I'm willing to hang out. If you want to do a 10-minute phone call and find out what you're looking for, I would be happy to send you the recording if it makes sense, or we can get on a one-on-one call if you're okay with that. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Because I think the weed, dude, it's so, once you get in the weeds, I don't know. It could be fun for this call. Shoot, there's only 6 of us, 7 of us, 9 of us. Robert Sandner, good to see you, brother. It is a bit nerdy. There's a saying an architect could relate to this. Do you want to know how the watch is made, or do you want to know what time it is? A lot of people want to know what time it is. I'm the type of person that says, I want to know what time it is, as long as I know the watch is made correctly. And at some point, we want to let go of how the watch is made because I want to let somebody else do it. And that's the entrepreneur. I don't want to get in my own way. Thanks, Stephen. I don't want to get in my own way of progress. And what I've realized as an entrepreneur is that I can do that. I can get in my own way because I want to control all of it. That means, when you ever heard this stupid saying, and for 20 years, 25 years of my life, I hated it. Well, get in your own way. What does it mean? Get in your own way. Here's what it means. You're trying to understand something that if you just allowed someone else in your life to understand it for you and help you do it, you don't need to understand it as well. And there's a trade-off there. It is, if I don't understand it well enough and I hire this person to take over that world and they mess up, that's on me because I didn't understand it well enough. So we have to understand how to do it enough to then say, okay, I want that person to do it. And I learned that in marketing. Marketing for me is where I lost so much money because I was like, cool, you know what you're doing. Here's a bunch of money, go do it. And man, did they fail me. Horribly failed me. And Jay, I got to read that book, dude. I got to put that on audiobook when I'm driving. Um, yeah. So I want to understand it enough. Okay. Have you guys ever heard of the Robert who did the World Trade Center back in the 70s? Who designed that? What firm designed the World Trade Center back in the 70s? If you guys are reading the chat box, read the chat box. If you're not reading it, read the chat box. Robert, who designed the World Trade Centers? Minoru Yamasaki. Robert now is an architect in Detroit with Yamasaki, and he crushes it. They are still doing huge projects all over the world. And Robert, I'm happy you're here, dude. It's good to see your name. As an architect, your joke resonated with me. Yes, but everybody thinks they can be an architect. So what he means is everybody thinks they can be a watchmaker. So do you want to know what time it is? You want to know how the watch works? Everybody thinks they know how to make the watch. Everybody thinks they're an architect. They think. It is not easy. That is one of the toughest businesses ever. I got out of it because I wasn't good enough. That's why. That's why I got out of it. I was good. It wasn't great. It's never going to be great. All right. Last week we talked about cash flow for retirement, and Robert, we just decided to talk about how to maximize retirement because a lot of the people that just signed up this week aren't on the call. So we're going to talk about how to maximize retirement. I think this is relevant for everybody, because just like in theory, there's theory and then there's practicality. So I want to talk about the theory about how this works, and then practical. Everybody is totally different. Everyone, even on the call, has a unique situation. Strategically, there's an ideal position to be in. Okay, so let's talk about that. I'm going to share my screen. Cheers to iPads. Okay. I look at retirement as supplementing my income. How do I supplement my income without using my time? How can I create cash flow? And I have assets that do that. Types of assets. We can have real estate, rental properties. We can have businesses. Or we can have what's called AUM, or assets under management. This is like savings accounts, retirement accounts. Um, Assets under management, which is what is typically the route. Most people are saving money in assets under management because they don't know otherwise. So they have things like, an IRA or 401k, or, a business owner might have a SEP IRA or a Roth, but it's some sort of qualified savings account that's tied to the stock market. And the stock market does this. And we hope it trends up, but it just depends on when you retire. If you retire here or if you retire here, it changes. So the ideal situation in retirement. So let's talk about, I get to age 65 and I want to live to 95 at least. That's a 30-year time frame. Okay. So if I have assets under management, let's say I have $1 million in this account. Okay. This one over here on the right-hand side. I have $1 million in the market. I retire at 65 and I expect to live to 95. The financial planning industry, the American College, all of these acronyms that you'll see, RICP, CFP, the acronyms of the financial planners, they go to school where the school tells them that if a client wants to retire and live for 30 years, then that client should not take out more than 3 to 4%. Why? Because the market's going up and down. And so when you're only living on that asset, exactly, friend, actually it's even more conservative than 5. It used to be 8%. You can Google this. I'm not making it up. In the 90s, it was 8%. 2000, the stock market or the tech bubble burst, went down to like 6%. And then in 2008, when the housing market hit, went down to 4%. So the safe money withdrawal rate is actually around 4. And now even recently we see 3, and I've seen as low as 2.5, but 3 to 4% is typically, so let's say 4, we'll agree on 4. So what does that mean? It means $1 million in assets in an account that you've never touched can give you an income of $40,000 a year. Taxable. $1 million is a boatload of savings. If anybody on the call had $1 million sitting inside of an account, then you'd go, that's a lot of money. If you took it out and put it on the table, that's a lot of money. But when the financial industry tells us to turn it on as income, it's only $40,000 a year. That $40,000 a year, depending on where it is, could be fully taxable as ordinary income, which means what? The highest federal tax right now is 37 plus Obamacare. It used to be 94%. I'm not making this up. This is all history. Tax used to be 94 cents on the 94% on certain income levels. You have a state tax depending on where you live. You have a local tax depending on what city that you're in. You have a Medicare tax, which you can't even define. And you have a Social Security tax, which means 85% of the benefit that you're entitled to could be taxed as ordinary income. Brent, I'd like to answer your question. You said it's 40,000, correct. On $1 million, 4% is 40 grand a year of income. That's where I came up with that. So you have this asset. Yeah, Steve's right. That's part of Medicare, right? So you have an asset that is going to pay you 40 grand a year. Now think about this. What is the average asset manager getting paid? An asset manager that's going to manage your money in the market, better believe they're going to get paid. They got to afford those $3,000 suits and the Mercedes. How do they get paid? They get paid based on the asset value. What do they get paid? That's only 1%, you know? If you listen to Tony Robbins, he would say the average is 2%. Let's just say it's 1%. So what does the advisor get paid? What's 1% of a million? Type it into the they get 1% of a million, Jay. So what's 1% of a million? Guys, you see what's happening? The advisor's making a quarter of what you do. You worked for the money, you saved for the money, you took the risk on the money. You're going to pay tax on the distribution. The advisor shares none of that liability, and they make 1/4 of what you do. If the advisor had 4 people that look just like you, same account values, they would be making the same amount of money as you do in retirement. This is why I say investors own stocks, advisors own yachts. They get paid on a pre-taxed account value. You're paying a fee on money that you're going to have to give to the IRS. This is not in the best interest of, and then they call themselves fiduciaries because they're not going to put you in too much risk. We're going to minimize the downside here, which will also minimize the upside. So it's going to do this. So this whole time it'll do this. It's so comical. Robert, thank you for the text. I got worried there for a minute. Whew. Didn't want to overstep my boundary. But this is what drives me nuts, because and it's not the money that they're making, because I believe in a capitalist society. I believe that we should make money, and if advisors can charge fees on pre-tax accounts for people that don't want to touch their money, great. But here's the problem. If you're on this call, you care about your money. That means you're not a passive investor like they want you to be. See, this system is set up for people that actually need it. A lot of people, I don't know how many, but a lot of people need this type of system. They don't know how the stock market works. They don't know how to buy a rental property. They don't know how to start a business, run a business, hire an employee, fire an employee. They don't know how to do that. So the system needs this type of solution, but it's not the high income earner. I see too many white collar professionals making blue collar financial decisions. And it's nothing against the blue collar people. They actually, when they put money into a qualified plan called a 401k, they can get a match where if they put in 3%, they match, the employer matches 3%. So it's not all bad. I'm saying it's for the free thinkers who know how to make things happen for themselves. It's a passive way to do it because you're paying this absorbent fee on money you don't even know how much you're going to be able to spend. You're giving control to someone else. And then the part that bugs me at the core of my being as a father, man, I don't know what it is. Now we can place the blame on somebody else. Because when the market goes down, who does this investor blame? They blame the advisor. And what does the advisor say? You're in it for the long run. Don't worry, it's for the long run. And the consumer believes it. But my point is that it's a very passive way to save and invest and retire because you're putting the control on somebody else. Well, guess what? The results will be for somebody else too. Just like an entrepreneur, which I want to work with entrepreneurial minded, family oriented entrepreneurs. It's in the cover of the book. You are in control of your destiny. And if you pass the blame for success or failure onto somebody else, you're not an entrepreneur. We have to take ownership for our own decisions, as crappy as they may be. So if you're in the position where you have money in a qualified account, it's not the end of the world. Why? Let's tie it back into the idea of retirement. I'm not on a tirade or just a random rant here, because I believe that a solid retirement, master's in architecture, and that's a three-legged stool. Look at that. See, if this is the focal point back here, if Robert knows what I'm talking about, the legs up here are closer, that one's farther away. It's a perspective thing. You wouldn't get it, you just wouldn't get it. Anyway, ideal retirement is a three-legged stool in my mind. Okay. These three legs represent a couple different things. Number one, high risk, high reward. This could be AUM, business, or real estate. It's whatever you want. It's the stuff that does this. And I'm hoping you're in control of. Fran, you're right. People do not believe in the freedom to take responsibility of their own money and finances. And it's because we're taught that way, dude. I already talked to a handful of people that are reading my book, and they're like, I feel the same way. The one guy I talked to today goes, you got a master's in architecture and you were compelled to stop that. How did you walk away after getting a master's degree? Because that's like what where I was supposed to do. And I was like, it's not what I wanted to do. And I don't think I'm going to be great at it. What if I go help other people understand what I've already gone through, lived through? It's crazy when we take control over when we take responsibility of our choices. So the first leg of the stool is high risk, high reward. As an entrepreneur, it could be your business, it could be your real estate portfolio, it could be the stuff that goes up and down. Hopefully you're in control of. If you're not an entrepreneur, if you don't have those things, it's the money that could be in the market. It could be your IRA, those types of things. Okay. The second leg I want to call fixed. I'm going to come back to this. We'll end on the fixed. And the third one is life insurance. And if you're one of redundancy built in, you have a fourth leg, which is called long-term care. And it's a no-brainer for anybody that wants to understand it. Some people on the call know what I'm talking about. It adds extra level of redundancy, because the number one reason that people with money end up dying without it is because of this. Put a number one in the chat box if you know what I'm talking about. Healthcare is not cheap. And the older you get, the worse it gets. So the fourth leg would be this, after the first three are taken care of. Yeah, so the third one is life insurance. Why is life insurance? Because I have guaranteed growth, I have tax-free use, and I have a death benefit to replace assets. So check this out. Let's say I have all of these two buckets. I have fixed income and I have my investment portfolio. If I am going to live from 65 to 95, what if I don't? Is it just me? No, I have a wife, I have little kids, all this. There's other people depending on me. So I don't want to leave them with nothing. So in order not to leave them with nothing, that's why the financial industry said, don't take out more than 40% because you're going to run out of money and you won't have anything left. What if I knew that all of my assets could be replaced by, what does that DB stand for? Put it in the chat box. What does DB stand for? Death benefit. Life insurance becomes asset insurance in retirement years. If I know that when I die, all of my assets will be replaced to my heirs, I can spend my money while I'm alive. So I can take higher distributions from these accounts, knowing that it'll be replaced from that account. By the way, when the market's like this and it's down right here this year, I'm taking money out of my life insurance, not the stock market. Because we know that if I leave money in the market, it'll rebound. But if the market goes down and I'm taking money out to go buy groceries, I don't have as much money to rebound. So I need these legs of redundancy built in, which is crazy because retirees have to make decisions they never made before. And they were so hardworking to build this big pile, the stool to begin with, the $1 million to begin with. We're still so hard working on that. Our advisor doesn't start talking about an exit strategy. Why? Because they get paid on the value of the account. This office is littered with financial advisors. I hear them talking about it all the time. Your IRA, your Roth, we're going to roll it over. Let's keep it growing. We got your 529 plan. It's horrible. It's horrible because there's no exit strategy built in. So the perfect exit strategy, 3 legs. High risk, high reward, could be assets under management, business, or real estate. We're going to take some of your assets and we put them into a fixed income that you cannot outlive. I'm going to say that again. You put the risk on the insurance company. You pay an advisor a commission, a one-time fee. I take that back. You don't even pay. The insurance company pays the advisor the commission. The consumer does not. So the insurance company pays the commission. The consumer, once they turn on their income stream, will last until the day that they die, guaranteed by the insurance company. That is enough to cover your paychecks, your mortgage that might be left over. You put enough into a fixed income to pay your bills. That's your paycheck, and it lasts until you die. This first bucket, that's your play check that you get to go on vacation and have fun with. The redundancy bucket, which is life insurance, guaranteed growth, tax exempt use, death benefit to replace assets, long-term care benefits built in, off the radar screen of creditors, unless you live on the left coast. Some of the people call her in California. Francilia, income until the day that you die. It is taxed as ordinary income. It is 100% taxable as ordinary income. It's called LIFO, last in, first out. So all of the growth on an annuity is the first to come out. So they're going to tax it as ordinary income. But you can get certain policies that will pay you until the day you die. Let me draw this out because we're coming up on 45 minutes here. This is good. Let me show you how this works. And guys, don't take my word for this. There's probably 1,000 types of annuities in the world. I'm just going to explain the concept. So if you come to me and say, hey, this annuity doesn't work like what you said, I'm not saying, I don't even know what annuity you're looking at. I'm going to tell you the concept to look for. And if you wanted to look on one-on-one, I'd be happy to find one based on your own needs. So here's how annuities can work. High compliance. Okay. Well, think about this. When I put money into insurance, small cost, I have a small cost, I have a big death benefit. So if with insurance, I put a little money up front, knowing that they're going to pay a lot of money when I die. So I'm paying them a little. Here's what happens. And an insurance company also sells annuities, and they hedge their risk by selling the opposite product. They have big cost or premium, smaller payout. Now, sounds horrible the way I wrote that, but what they do is they take a big chunk of money up front and then they guarantee income. So you give them $1 million, they'll pay you income forever. So if I put $1 million in, let's say it'll pay me $60,000 a year. That's called annuitizing. If I annuitize the annuity, it will pay me an annual income stream. It's called annuitizing. So let's say it's $60,000 a year, and I want it to increase 3% each year. So that's a cost of living rider that you add on. So that continues to go up. There might be a cost for that. There's all these riders and things on there. They're very, very, very confusing. So I'm going super high level. So 60 grand a year income to the day you die, increasing 3% each year with this rider. And if you die, your family might get nothing. Who keeps the rest? Well, the same people that are hedging the bets. Some annuities have what's called a death benefit. So if you die, they get whatever's outstanding. So if you're taking 60 grand a year, you just keep taking 60 grand off of the million and you die here, your family gets whatever is left over. Not a death benefit, but it's like whatever's left over, they get to keep. But the risk here is on the insurance company is longevity. If the client lives a long time, the insurance company would lose because they got to pay the income for a long time. And with life insurance, they hope you live a long time because they don't want to pay out this big death benefit. So with annuities, they want you to die soon. With life insurance, they want you to die a long time away from now. Long ways away, long, healthy life. That's how that works. And then, so let me explain one more thing. For younger people, if I have like old money inside of an IRA, let's say I have qualified money somewhere, and I have, I don't know, dude, I'm making up numbers here, $200,000. Let's say I put it into an annuity. Here's why people buy annuities. Number one, there's a commission, not a fee. Whereas earlier I was showing you how the advisor is going to make a fee off of this every single year. Here, the advisor make a commission paid for by the insurance company, not the client, and it's a one-time commission. So it's not ongoing. Even when you die with an IRA or 401k, your kids are going to pay fees on that to the advisor because the advisor is going to charge fees every single year. With an annuity, you pay the commission, the insurance company pays the commission, and you're done. It's net numbers. Number two, the reason that somebody would roll money over is guaranteed income potential. Oh, here's what I was going to say. I'm sorry. It's a floor of zero. So let's say I'm in an annuity that's tied to the S&P 500, and the S&P it's 2022, and the S&P does negative 20%. It actually did negative 18%. So 2022, the market does negative 18. Here's what my annuity does. Nothing. It didn't lose value. The market went down, but my annuity stayed here. Next year, S&P grows 20%. My annuity would be capped at whatever number, 11, 9, 12. Some annuities aren't capped, but a lot of annuities are. They're capped at like you can't earn more than that. And guess who keeps this growth? The difference between the cap rate and what the market did. Guess who keeps that growth? Not the consumer, not the advisor, the insurance company. That's why they do this. That's why they sell these products, because they're banking on that, the growth. And they're willing to bank on it enough to pay for the loss. So as a consumer, you live in this corridor where there's no losses, but you have potential upside. Fran, I don't know what you mean by the angel investor. Yeah, angel investor, you're not actually in the market. Yeah. Yep. With a heck of a lot less risk, though. I mean, if you think about what an angel investor is, you could lose it all. With an annuities, you have zero, you have guarantees not to lose it. But that's a good point. You invest the profit, high risk. Yeah, annuities does not have the high risk. Annuities do not have that. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you're exactly right. Like an angel investor without the risk. And that's also why angel investors do a lot better than, 11%. They're making 1,100%. Mr. Leo, good to have you here. Are there annuities that don't involve a professional that feeds off the deal, i.e. deal direct with annuity company? You can look into it. I don't know. Not a very attractive question. I think what I proved is that by paying the fee to have this type of advice that I'm giving away for free, you'd still be ahead with the advisor making money and you profiting. The only way capitalism works, Mr. Leo, is that win-win-win. Everybody has to win. And your question leads to the idea of someone's not going to win. And that's someone giving away information on a free webinar, like right now, and then say, how do I cut you out to deal with directly with the annuity company? I welcome your answer. You're welcome back next week to share the answer if you found how to work with an annuity company and get the service that you request and that you expect. Because something leads me to believe that if you ask the question, it might also be the highest needy client to require the most amount of service, you know? So you pay, you know, what you get for is cost and what you want is value. And thank you, Fran. The fee is very predictable. It's upfront and the insurance company pays for it. Exactly. Exactly right. Mr. Leo, do you have any thoughts of what I said or the comments deleted? Who's Mr. Leo? I didn't see that guy join. We have new people though. Kane, what's up? Marlon, what's up? Mr. Leo, you're still on. You deleted your comment. Hopefully I didn't offend you, but gosh, how do I get what you're offering without paying the person who wants to offer it? Can we come up with a less attractive question? And look, I'm not against, I don't want you to spend money unnecessarily. That's why I do this for free. But at the end of the day, hopefully we pay people for services. Gosh, one of the things that made me want to leave architecture, Matt, just make the changes on the drawings. It's not going to take you. He's already commenting. Matt, make the changes on the drawings. It's not going to take you very long. It'll just take a minute. Okay, hold on a second. It's what I had planned that I have to cancel. I have to go back into the drawings. I have to adjust the drawings. I have to approve the drawings. I have to stamp the drawings. I have to print the drawings. I have to print how many copies of the drawings. I have to get sure, it's an easy fix, but it's not free. It's not free. I think the question, Mr. Leo, I hope that you were trying to ask is how do you maximize your benefit with minimizing the expense to the advisor? I hope that's what you meant. And I think that's a very valid question and one that we should answer all the time. And I refer you to how Microsoft, Netflix, Amazon Prime, all of these companies work. Do they work off of a one-time fee, or excuse me, one-time commission, or do they work off of a monthly or annual fee? And I want answer in the comments. Microsoft, Netflix, do they work off of a one-time payment, or is it a monthly subscription? Monthly subscription. Why? Because it's more profitable. And Mr. Leo, I'm glad you asked the question because it allows me to go on a little bit of a rant here. The Department of Justice right now is trying to eliminate commissions in the financial industry because the Department of Justice and some of these other people, and hidden fees is exactly right, Jay. They say that you cannot give objective financial advice if you receive a commission. A fee is the same thing that's tagged on forever. And my pushback is that the people that need financial advice the most, the people that need housing, Mr. Leo, please don't regret the question. I'm not beating you up, I promise you. Because I think I know what you meant to say. What you meant to say was, how do we not lose our butt by doing this? And that's what I'm talking about still. So please don't regret it. Because there's people on the call that are business owners that don't understand this too. You want to be able to give the value, but the challenge is the Department of Justice is saying that you can't give objective financial advice and get paid a commission. And I wrote a whole little a one-page white paper that Robert, I should send to you if I could ever find it. It was about how the people that can't afford an architect are the ones that need an architect the most. And I related it to the financial world. This is 2014. I related it to the financial world that the people that need an architect the most are the ones that need to be the most efficient with their dollars, like to build the space. Like Think about it with income. If I if I'm the most concerned about cost, losing money, downside in markets, taxation, then I need to be the most frugal possible. I need architecture the most. Architecture is all about efficiency. Look at Santiago Calatrava. Crazy, crazy efficient. In the financial world, a lot of advisors make a ton of money by managing accounts that they never have anything to do with the trades. Advisors make the sale, gather the money, somebody else manages the account, and then you get the guy making the trades who's doing the transactions. They don't manage money in the market. So the person that needs the architecture the most are the ones that should be frugal with, I don't want to give Uncle Sam more money than I need to. I don't want to give my advisor more money than I need to. By the way, what's my exit strategy? Why do I get made to feel bad if I talk to my advisor about how am I going to get money out of this account? There's massive billion-dollar firms out there whose advisors cannot even talk to their clientele about how to get money out of the account because you're in it for the long run. You're not 59 and a half. You're not retired yet. Man, in this stupid book, which as I read it, I wish I would have written it better, but I think it's good for a lot of people. But the constant critic, right? I think people need to understand what they have as options. I lost myself when I was thinking about the criticism of that book. But these people cannot, so these advisors cannot even talk about an exit strategy, and they're making their clients feel stupid by even asking. And that bugs me. It bugged me because I lived through all this. I funded a retirement account when I was 24 years old, making $37,000 a year as an architect. I had money, was putting money into a 401k in the smallest tax bracket of my life, deferring a tax and deferring, most importantly, the use of my money with no exit strategy.